Hey, Christine, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. We've been working together for quite a while, and I know that the things that you're doing right now are so interesting to do with hot stones and the way that you're using them in your clinic in a remedial way. And I wanted to just get you on the podcast to be able to talk to you a bit about how that works, because I know there's a bunch of people in our community that can be interested in that. But before we get into all that stuff, how about you introduce yourself and just let us know what it is you do right now? Where are you working? What does it look like? How are you using your hot stones in treatment, that kind of thing?
Okay. Hi, James. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Pleasure. Super fun.
So where I am at the moment is I run a clinic in New South Wales in a place called Armdale. And I have 2 members of staff. I work in the same premises as some chiropractors. And we see a wide variety of people, but mainly people who are in pain and want to get out of pain. Is really our bread and butter people. So, yeah. And what we like to do is we like to help them get out of pain in a way that feels really good, in a way that's quite luxurious, in the kind of approach. So it's very caring and very nurturing. So that's where we bring in our hot stones, really. Is
fantastic. And I know when we were doing our little book tour, when we were driving around Australia, we dropped in Armidale. Beautiful town, by the way, absolutely gorgeous. And Leash actually came and got a treatment with you, and she was very impressed with your style and the actual treatment space you've got, all that kind of stuff. It's a really good setup that you've got there. So well done on getting to where you are, by the way. That's a really great achievement.
Thank you.
I also know you've had an interesting journey to get to this place. Do you want to share, where did the journey start for you? What got you into massage in the first place, and what did that look like for you?
When we lived in Australia 15 years ago. We're Scottish. We moved over and then we moved back to Scotland, and I had 3 children in preschool ages. And I thought, I need a job. Europe is so expensive. I need work, but I've got these children and I need to fit, work and family together. And my younger sister at that time was a remedial massage therapist, and she worked on the oil rigs. So she'd get a helicopter to work.
Wow.
I know. So she said to me, well, I'm really busy. I need some help. Let's get you trained and you can come and work with me. So what she suggested was she would find a course, knowing what she knew, that would suit me, knowing me. And she came up with 2 courses, one near where she lived and one near where I lived. So I chose the one closest to me. And that's how it started. So I went and got trained up. And after the first day, I came home and said to my husband, well, this is just not going to happen. This is not for me. It's far too hard. It's really confronting. You have to actually touch people. I don't know what I thought I was signing up for, but and my husband said, okay, that's fine. We got up the next day. He took me to the car, drove me to the massage school, walked me to the door, and handed me over to the teacher and said, she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Don't let her out until the end of class.
Don't let her out. And that was probably his big mistake, because from that day on, I became completely addicted. I just needed him to make me commit, I think.
Wow, that's fantastic. So did you end up working on oil rigs? Did you get the helicopter to work job?
No, sadly.
Oh, rats.
So what happened there was during the course, my sister's life changed, and she ended up selling her business and moving to Norway. So
right. As you do.
As you do. So I knew this at the end of my course. I was coming up to the end of my course. My sister moved to Norway, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I was relying on that job. And my sister said, just start your own company. What's the big deal? And I went, oh, okay. So then I went along to all this sort of free stuff you could get from like the business chamber and any workshops I could get a hold of, any podcasts, any books. So I started really studying on business and how to create a massage business, because that wasn't really covered in massage school, even in Scotland. Same. So by the time my course had finished, I had my cards ready. I only had 2 sets of towels because my budget was really, really small.
That's awesome.
I had 2 sets of towels and all my case studies from my class. I got in touch with this marketing lady and I said to her, because she had been in marketing and then she did massage, and I said to her, how did you start? How did you convert your case studies into paying clients? And she said, oh, I just threw a party for them and thanked them and said, now you pay for my service. Thank you. And I said, and that worked? And she said, yes. So I did that. So I didn't have a party. I just had an afternoon tea with cake.
Nice.
Tea and cakes, which was lovely. And all the people that were my case studies became my clients overnight. And
how fantastic is that? That's awesome, right? Yeah.
So I went to work every evening and I saw 2 people every evening, and I'd wash my towels in the day and then I'd go to work every evening with 2 people. And that's how I built my business. I just went to work every evening, saw 2 people, and then I encouraged them to tell their friends. And then 2 years later, I was running 3 premises in Edinburgh and, really fully booked, working full time.
How fantastic.
That's what happened.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, does it? It can be really simple. It's like just literally tell people what you're doing, tell them that they've got to pay for it. This is normal. And it just kind of happens, right?
Yeah.
So that's really great that you were able to get that to sort of flow through so easily from there.
Well, I just asked someone else what they did and then copied them.
Yeah. Good point. Really? Exactly. You went to someone who you could see had already done this, who had a background in marketing themselves too.
Yeah.
And then the things they're giving you to do, though, aren't really complicated. It's just like, hey, be confident, tell people what you do, and you already had the exposure of those case study people that you were doing the treatments on. So they're the ones that already knew you, that already experienced that. And just literally telling them you're available for paid bookings now was enough to sort of convert those first few people through. That's awesome. I love it. So 3 clinics in Edinburgh, really, really awesome. What's the next step? How did you end up in Armidale in Australia?
I know, it seems very unbelievable, doesn't it? Basically, my husband, the work he was doing 15 years ago, he got invited back to Australia by those people to do more work in that field with them. So he got called one day and offered a job in Australia, and we said yes.
Nice. Why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. Why not? Why not? If it doesn't work out, we'll just go back to Scotland. It's no big deal. So that's what happened. And to be honest, I didn't really want to leave because I'd worked so hard. I'd basically continued my studies throughout that whole time. All the money that I kind of accumulated with all the treatments, I threw into training.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
I just really invested in my skills so that I could charge more and attract more people. So that I was just getting better and better and better and more practiced at what I did.
And what's it, like, just a bit of a sideways question, but what's the education for massage like in Scotland and I guess in Europe? You would have had access to a whole lot of different modalities and trainers and that sort of stuff that are much harder for us to reach here in Australia.
Yeah.
Do you notice a big difference? What do you notice?
Massage in the UK is unregulated, so exactly the same as in Australia.
Yeah.
The main difference is in Australia, you have got a set national level of qualification that's recognised by the government. In the UK, they don't. So it's completely unregulated. There's no set diploma that contains so many modules and so many units and everything else. So each massage school makes up their own thing. So it's very hit or miss. So the training is very, very variable. And it means people can basically do a weekend course and set themselves up as a remedial massage therapist. They obviously don't last very long. But it's the same here. Like, you could just go out and call yourself a massage therapist and not, you could have no insurance, no association. Yeah. So it's exactly the same. You can do that there as well, but you don't last very long. And do we want to operate like that? No, not really.
No, of course not. No. And at least you're right. Here in Australia, we're fairly unregulated, but at least we do have the qualifications at a national standard.
Yeah.
So if you're going to a therapist and you can see they've got that certificate hanging on the wall or the diploma or whatever it is, you kind of know, well, that's a base level qualification that we can trust.
Yeah,
has a similar outcome for anyone who's done it. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. And so the hot stones that you're doing now that I know form kind of a special part of your treatment, and you use them in a way that's not that common, where did you learn that? Was that during this time, were you learning that kind of stuff back then?
Yes, well, during my entry-level massage course, my first ever massage course, our teacher said, hey, there's this workshop, these people coming up from London doing a hot stones workshop. It's an evening one. It's £10 for, 3 hours or something in the evening. You all need to come because they're amazing trainers and you're all fantastic students. And I really want to show you off. And so we were all like, oh, great. So
fantastic.
Off we went. And we got to try out the hot stones in this workshop. And I just fell in love with them that day. It was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So I loved the feel of them, the sound when they chink together. I loved the heat. There was just so much about it that I liked and that I felt really rewarded for. Actually, when I tried them out, I was like, it just felt really natural. So I just loved it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I know like hot stones are a fairly common thing to have as part of a sort of a massage offering, but usually hot stones are much more like a relaxation technique and people use them in day spas and that kind of stuff. And I've never actually had a hot stones massage. I have to admit, I'd love to try it out, but I've never actually had one. I know. I should have had one when I was up with you. I know, right? But I do go get massaged regularly, but the lady I go and see just doesn't do hot stones. That's fine. I'll have one eventually, sooner or later. But from what I understand, it is usually a fairly static sort of thing. They lay the hot stones on your back and they might move them around a little bit, but it's more about the heat being in certain places on your body. And then when Elicia was describing what you do with hot stones, that's quite a different technique. So do you want to just, we don't need a lesson on how to do it, but do you want to just really briefly share what the difference is and what you're doing?
So the static stones that you're talking about are placement stones, and they consist of about 10% usually of a treatment.
Okay.
So there's another 90% that you can do, which is fantastic. So basically what I like to do is I like to incorporate them and use them myofascially and also then apply a lubricant, which I use a massage wax. And then I would use them remedially. So you learn how to feel through the stones so that you can trigger point, you can feel muscle tightness, you can feel fascial adhesions, you can feel the patterns in people's tension and posture and everything like that through the actual stones. And you use them like your hands. So you would hold them in your hands and you would actually use them to massage with.
And they're hot the whole time, right?
They're hot the whole time. So you heat them and they cool. And they cool at different rates. So some people just suck the heat right out of them. It's like, and you're like, oh, you need to change those immediately. So you go and swap them out you have a whole batch in a nice heater waiting for you to use them. You pull them out, dry them off, and off you go with them. So some people absorb heat really quickly. Other people don't absorb heat so much for different conditions and different people. Different heat is, appropriate. So for older people, the stones would be just warm because of thinner skin, things like that. So young guys, athletic guys, they love the heat. They love them really hot. So you would move them more quickly, because they're a bit more active, things like that. And then once they've calmed down a bit on the table, you can go really slow and so the heat actually allows you to work very deeply in a way that's very easy on your body. I'm a really kind of petite person. I'm not a big muscle bound chick, but I see these really muscly guys who are just like, yeah, just give me the stones. They're amazing. Mountain bikers and cyclists and things. And they're like, yeah. Love the stones. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that's really fantastic because I can sort of imagine what it would feel like. It would feel really, really good. And it's different to other tools because I know using a tool in therapy, again, there's a bunch of different things people can do and try. But I don't think any of the others have that heat. It's more like just a tool to either get in a different position or save your hands in a certain way, whereas the heat itself is part of the treatment, right? That's part of what makes them work so well.
Yeah, so heat basically dilates the blood vessels, increases blood flow, increases the stretchability of your ligaments and tendons. It increases the pliability of fascia. It also helps with soft tissue injury, increases your metabolism. Even like 1% increase in temperature can increase your metabolism by 10%, which can help with injury recovery, which is quite fascinating.
It is fascinating. This is fantastic. Yeah. And I know you actually teach this as a what would you call it, a technique now, right? You teach the remedial hot stones, the remedial side of it.
Yeah.
How's that going for you? How did you get into the teaching side of things after having actually used this as a treatment yourself for so long? What prompted you, or what was that journey like?
Well, the teaching kind of came about when I was in Scotland as well. So pretty much because I'd really studied up this marketing thing before I launched into being a massage therapist, the teachers and all the massage schools that I had been to noticed, they went, oh, look, she's doing really well. Let's have a chat to her. Come back. Why are you doing so well? Because not everyone, like, honestly, there was like 50% dropout rate for a start. And then half the people that made it through just petered out after 12 months.
And that's really normal, right? You're talking, this really is what normal. We do. We have our education in this space because that's really normal here as well. It's a really common thing. Just to not be taught the business skills, no one's fault. It's just not taught at school.
Just not taught.
And without it makes a big difference.
Yeah, so those schools all went, we want you to come back and we want you to teach a little bit of what you've learned to the people coming through. So I went along and started just telling them what I had done and, giving them a few pointers and teaching a little tiny bit of marketing.
The afternoon tea. Do the afternoon tea. Was that your first hot tip?
Yeah. And get yourself organized, just get yourself organized and commit to, I will go to work on these days. It's a really big one. So when I was doing that, then they were like, oh, actually, your hands-on skills are great. So would you like to come back and teach some trigger pointing or just come along be a support person on our massage course for hot stones? Oh, yeah, that worked well. Would you like to come and take a segment of the course? And then you can do trigger points with the hot stones and teach that to the class. And so this kind of became a more regular gig.
Fantastic.
Which I really liked. I loved it. So, yeah.
Yeah, how great. And that's a fairly natural progression too. Like I remember even for myself, I taught at TAFE for a while as well in web design and online media and writing and that sort of stuff. And it was the same sort of thing. I enjoyed my studies. I went and lived in the real world for a little bit and got that practical experience and saw a bit of success. And it's exactly the same thing. My old teachers, my tutors, contacted me and said, hey, we love what you're doing. We see you all over the place. Can you come back and just do some classes? And even when I finished specifically teaching, they would sometimes get me to come back and just talk to the graduates. It's like a bit of a thing at TAFE. And it is a really good thing to be able to add to your skill set. I know for myself, being able to just stand up in front of people and talk about what I did and have that confidence to show people stuff, the act of doing that in a classroom actually then also helped me in business, because it just gave me that kind of confidence to step forward and present things, whatever it happened to be doing at the time. So they feed off each other really, really well. I do think it's good if anyone has an opportunity to do that kind of teaching thing. It's great to be able to have it as part of the skill set. And you also didn't get sucked into the teaching world exclusively, which is the other thing that can sometimes happen. It's like people go back into that and then it's like, oh, it's regular hours. It's all organised nicely for me. And they end up just not practicing anymore and going and teaching full time, which, I mean, that's fine if people want to do that. But it is a bit of a loss to the massage world in a sense, because they're not doing the hands-on treatment so much anymore. So I love that you've been able to balance that, and then the rest of the journey has flowed through from there. It's really exciting. And I do want to mention right now, because I know some of the people who will listen to this will have heard of you and the course that you're running at the moment around hot stones. So just while we're talking about that, if someone was interested in learning more about how hot stones work for Remedial, they've got to be a qualified therapist, I believe, or they've got to have some history of massage. Yeah. And then this is like an add-on. Where would they go to learn about that? Or tell us a little bit about what you do.
At the moment, I'm doing online courses for remedial therapists, like you said. If they want to find out more, they can always go to my website, which is www.christineknoxmassage.com. And message me, get in touch on Facebook or anything like that. Or, you know, I love to chat. I love to talk. Yeah. So happy to give some advice around that. I also have been running some workshops for clinics. So people who have a number of staff who they really use the hot stones already, but they want to have this twist on it. So it really is a twist on it. It's basically combining it with what they already do and taking things up a level. So really honing those touch skills, so that listening touch, sophistication of touch is really at that kind of level of like Rolls Royce, you know. It's I think sometimes we're trying to be really medically in the massage world, but actually the thing we do the best, better than every other allied health, is actually touch. That's our thing. We have a whole hour with people. Other allied health are like, wow, what do you do?
Yeah. But it's so true. It's literally the most hands-on profession, the most touchy-feely profession. Like quite literally touching people.
And people love us. People love massage therapists. You say you're a massage therapist and they're like, oh, you know. Say you're a lawyer, they're like, oh.
Yeah, that's right. It's instant love. You go to a party, how to be instantly popular. Hey, I'm a massage therapist.
I've got a thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was going to say. Except everyone then says, oh, can you have a look at my... And they all just start lining up in front of you like, oh, great, here goes the next 90 minutes. Just
always take your cards.
Yeah, that's it. It's a free 5 minutes, guys. We're at a party, but if you want to see, it's another hot marketing tip. Go to parties.
Oh, funny.
Oh, I love it. So maybe, I mean, it sounds like you've had a fantastic journey, and you're in a place now where you're running a great clinic, you've got a couple of staff, and you're doing training and stuff. So you're really stepping up your reputation into not just the local community, which is where the clinics are thriving so well, but stepping up into now serving the broader massage community through training in the hot stones. What's the next step for you? Like, where do you see this going in the future? Do you have a big vision of where you're going in the next, 5 years or something like that?
What I would absolutely love is to run a massage school of my own, or at least some advanced training is what I would like to call it. So I do a lot of work with scars. I'm quite nerdy about my scars and my fascial work. So I'd really love to make that more accessible to massage therapists here. Mostly the trainers that train in this are from Europe and America, and they come over here maybe once a year. And their classes are full of people desperate to learn this stuff. It's And at the moment, it's just in its infancy over here. Like it's quite an unusual modality for people to be interested in, mainly because at massage school, you're taught to stay away from scars. It's like, no, don't touch that. Move along. That's not, part of your remit. But in actual fact, what, I've discovered over the last 6 years working with scars is that actually a lot of the problems are coming from the scar. And things, just everyday things that you come across, like belly button piercings, can wreak havoc with people's digestion and fertility and things like back pain and like super, super interesting stuff.
And massage can help with that?
Absolutely, James. Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. So that's what we'll see down the track. Right now, it's the hot stones as like the entry point, and then you'll be like, bam, teaching scar tissue.
This is the plan.
Yeah, how fantastic. I love it. Sounds really, really great. Before we finish up, I'm going to ask you for one hot tip that you would give other massage therapists who are building their business, because you've had, it sounds like quite a long journey, some challenges as part of that, but also some great growth in different ways. You've followed your own path and have studied really interesting things, and you're now using that as part of what you do. I love that journey. It's a really exciting story. And I know there'll be some massage therapists who are just kind of doing the do, just kind of flowing through and feeling like they've got more that they want to do. They've got more that they want to give or more that they want to study. And they're hearing this story thinking, wow, Christine, this is amazing. This is great. What would you give them as one piece of advice to help them to continue moving along that journey and to step up?
I would say invest in yourself, basically. So, the usual things. If you don't want to work on a Saturday, don't work on a Saturday. If you want to study, then study. It's one of these things. I think investing in your skill set and investing in keeping yourself healthy and happy are really the important things. Nobody wants to see a burnout massage therapist. No one wants to get a massage from that person. So look after yourselves, really. It's my main piece of advice.
I love that. That's fantastic. And it even fits in with your whole philosophy, like you were sharing earlier. It's like, you can do a normal remedial massage, but why not do it with hot stones? It's more luxurious and warm and fun and beautiful. It's the same sort of thing. It's like, look after yourself in that same way. Give yourself that luxury as you go through life. What a great experience day to day.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been a fascinating chat to have with you today. I'll put the links to your website in the show notes. So if anyone does want to get in touch, you can go visit Christine's website just by going to the show notes and clicking through, or going to christineknoxmassage.com. Perfect. No worries. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, James. Thank you.